everyone, we are Geeks Not Nerds. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Vince.
Vince, it is week 3 of the second multi-topic extravaganza, and it's now time for the major giant plot twist right in the middle. Yes, indeed. Today we're going to work our way backwards. That's right. We're going to start with the most recent questions, and we're going to meet our way to the middle of what we were doing before, so that some more stuff gets picked up from recently in case we don't get to the end. Yeah, that's what we're doing. So we're going to do this at least this week and next week, and if there are enough questions, we may go one more week, but definitely 4. So anyway, you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready, Vince? Are you ready for questions?
Are you ready?
See, how ready could you possibly be? You don't even know what the questions are.
Yeah, no, I'm good at improv.
All right, here's the first question.
I can fly.
Today's first question. Do you believe you can fly? Today's first question comes from the Chosen Critic, who asks, "What is your favorite and least favorite James Cameron film?"
Oh man, do you have one?
Honestly, I'm so neutral on Cameron. I've never been a big Cameron fan. I know I don't... okay, I know 2 huge things. I don't hate Titanic like a lot of people do, and I don't like Avatar like a lot of people do. So, so there's that.
I'll say this.
Of his early stuff, I don't know.
I tend to get Cameron and Carpenter confused, not because they're very similar, but just because their names get confused and then I forget which one's which.
You gotta work on that, dude.
And then I'll go, wait. No.
You gotta work on that.
This guy's that guy's this.
Yeah, one of these guys is a horror guy.
Cameron, Aliens, all the way.
Yeah.
So, Aliens is my number one
That's probably
Cameron
my pick
movie.
Too.
Least favorite, I'm not going to say it's awful, I just didn't enjoy it, was Titanic. So, I'll say that.
Next question comes from Winseth, and I'm actually going to read this entire thing because it's addressed to you and I think it's funny. Some of these are answering things we did last time, which is part of why I wanted to go backwards. And he says, "I just finished Nightfall plus Quest and Ends, and this coming from one Vince to another," apparently his name is Vince, "this coming from one Vince to another, Vince, you have to read it. The whole arc is very entertaining. I spent many a nights not wanting to go to sleep, just going through issue after issue. The arc of Bruce rehabilitating and testing himself is so well done." I agree, that's great stuff. "The whole saga doesn't get enough respect. People only talk about the backbreaking." It's a really good point, too. Here's a question. "Do you think Night Saga, or just Nightfall, should be made into an animated film?" I'm going to address that first, just because I've read it. The thing about Nightfall is I want to immediately go, yes, I'd love to see that. And then I remember all the longer arcs that they've really condensed into animated movies, and they made me disappointed. So I don't know if they did.
Should it be made into a good one? Yes.
Well, but see, that's the problem, is that it's hard to say that because realistically, we know how long they're allowed to make those movies. We know they don't have the money to make anything longer than 80 minutes. So you can't just say, do I want to go? That's like, to say good and longer is like asking for something impossible. You see what I'm saying? That's the reason they're breaking up. We talked about this before. That's the reason that they're breaking up Dark Knight Returns into 2 movies. So what I'd say is, do what they should have done with Superman Doomsday and break up the arcs. So so either only do the first arc and don't even do the rest of it, or do Nightfall and then do Night Quest and then do Night's End, and make them all separate movies. That's what I would want.
Cool.
So yeah. Anyway.
Thanks, Vince.
And you haven't read it, so I'm sure you don't have an opinion. But
I will read it. It does sound good.
Next question comes from MattMaster34, who asks, "Do you guys consider Buffy and Angel superheroes? If you do, will you review their respective TV shows on Rewind Cap?" Yes, I do plan on doing some Buffy and Angel, and I've already done the first Buffy movie. So what do you think? Buffy and Angel, superheroes?
Sure. I mean, if the Ninja Turtles are superheroes, the Ghostbusters are superheroes, then surely Buffy and Angel can be superheroes. I mean, if you're going to look at the Crow and the Punisher as if they're superheroes, then why not?
And I think even Buffy over Angel, really.
Yeah. Although I think Angel is, in the running.
Absolutely. Do I think that they should ever have costumes? No. Next question comes from the Not So Amazing Jake. Oh, self-deprecating usernames. All right.
Why not?
So Amazing Jake. What are some of your favorite monologues/speeches from film, television, books, comics, etc.? Favorite monologues, Vince?
Oh, Henry V.
Really? Are you just throwing that out there? Or?
I'm just throwing it out there. I'll tell you this, I don't usually like monologues unless it's really moving, and it's gotta be darn moving.
Moving. It's got to be moving.
It has to be something that doesn't feel drawn out, because whenever somebody starts this little soliloquy, if it's not a classical play, I always question it. I think, she would have been shot by now if you were sitting here talking to that guy. Because there's no way that your words could move that guy to go, you know what, you're right, I just have to stand here and listen to you before I do this. You see what I'm saying? I don't like monologues generally. It's not realistic.
I think it can most certainly be realistic when it's put in the right place. I think some of the, some of the places it makes the most sense is in court drama, where you're allowed to have a long time to say something. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Places where you have the floor. So, like, if you're leading a meeting and you have the floor, this is a time that a speech can be made. Or if you're having a conversation with just you and another person in a room and there's not a lot of action going on outside, that's a time when someone might start monologuing. You know, that sort of thing. I'm with you. It doesn't always work when it, like, moves someone to do something, you know, that sort of thing. But some of my favorites are Picard speeches in TNG, especially the one in Drumhead, where he's talking about basically why you know, witch trials are bad. But that's one of his better speeches. And also his time travel speech in Matter of Time, where he's talking to Berlinghoff Rasmussen. I love Berlinghoff Rasmussen. Just on the principle of the name. What a cool name, Berlinghoff Rasmussen. But anyway, where he's talking to this guy that he thinks is from the future and knows the future and could tell him the outcome that would help him save a whole planet full of people. And he's trying to convince him that he should do that despite the changes that it would make to the future timeline. And he says, you know, I don't care about your future, because as far as I'm concerned, it hasn't been written yet. And that's a great speech. So anyway,
unless memory fails me, I think there's a great speech in The Great Dictator, the Charlie Chaplin movie. I think he actually delivers a speech in it. But yeah, I think so.
Next one comes from Batman Kicks Ass. Quick question. What's your favorite comic cover, or maybe a few of your favorite comic covers of all time? I think we should do a video on this.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I have
a number one.
I have to go dig, but what's your number one?
I don't know the number of the issue, but it's a Sergeant Rock with an Andy Kubert cover, where there's a bunch of dead guys and unconscious guys laying around this hill, and Sergeant Rock is on the hill raising his gun in the air, and there's fire in the background. It's cool. It's at night. It's really neat. I like it. It says Sergeant Rock at the top because that's the name of the book.
I'm a big fan of the Spawn #1 cover. I have that on a T-shirt. The old adage, if you really like a comic book cover, you should print it on a T-shirt. Not that I printed it, I bought it. But then and I'm kidding. That's not an ad. No one ever said that. But I don't know if you've noticed this lately. But if you go to your local Target or Walmart these days, you're seeing more and more old comic book covers printed on T-shirts. How cool, man! Awesome stuff. I keep seeing stuff I want. Except I keep doing this too. I'll walk in and I'll see a cool cover on a T-shirt, and instead of buying the T-shirt, I'll go find the comic. You know, I'm like, wow, I didn't know that cover existed. That's awesome.
You know, I feel a little weird. I go to those stores at points at times. Anyway, and I'll look at his shirt and I'll say, wow, that's really cool, and then I'll realize it's a little boy's shirt, and then I'll say to myself, I feel weird. Anyway,
well, I wouldn't feel weird, because the thing is, a lot of time they'll have just as cool of shirts for grown men, and it's just arbitrary. You know, whether they print them both for men and boys. It's irritating. But anyway, I mean, look at the shirts we're wearing right now. You know, either of these could be for little kids. That one, not as much. That looks more like a 80s rocker shirt that has the Superman symbol on it.
Cut the sleeves off.
and this is maybe an obvious one. I'll always forever be a big fan of the cover of Superman 75. Whether you like that for Superman or not, the ripped up Superman cape as a flag is such a cool image. But anyway, I have a number of others, but I think we should eventually maybe go through our collections and make a stack and just do a video on it.
Look, this is cool. I'll be honest with you, covers usually don't grab me, but sometimes there are cool ones.
Fine, I'll do it myself. I'll do it on late night, and you won't be invited. I'm kidding. What DC storyline? This is from Senior Nerd. What DC storyline or graphic novel do you want to see being the next animated movie? I have a tough time with this because a lot of them I think are just too long to make really good animated films.
Yeah. I mean, just to see one made into an animated movie, even if it has to be into this, I would choose Kingdom Come. That's a great one.
And that was actually exactly what I was going to say.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think we should move on. There's our answer. That's just what I was going to... That would be
Kingdom
so cool.
Come.
I still feel like that's long enough. It would be hard to do, but yeah, I'm totally with you.
I would like to see Ted Kord Blue Beetle like the first, I don't know, few issues.
Really?
Mm-hmm. That'd be fun. I mean, they could adapt
That'll never happen, but that would be cool.
I mean, it's not really a graphic novel. I wouldn't mind it just being a Blue Beetle animated.
It doesn't have to be, though. They've started doing arcs.
Yeah.
In fact, I gotta tell you, they've done a couple Superman Batman ones already, and I think people are sick of those. But if they had to do another one, I'd like to see Search for Kryptonite. It's so funny. It's so weird. They totally should do that one. They need to pick some of the weirder Superman Batman arcs. Blue Rooster Reviews asks, when do movies based on books merit having two parts, like Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows?
Well, I mean, if there's just too much teen angst, surely they can split vampire and werewolf movies into two movies. There's just too much teen angst to fit into one movie.
Didn't you feel a lot, and this is having not seen anything past the second one with Twilight, but don't you feel like a lot of that was less, this book is really that long, and more we're just trying to milk as much money out of this as we can? Like,
well, yeah, I mean, you know what they could do? They could have just made the, normal number of movies, and then in the future, they can remaster them, put in a bunch of CGI, and re-release them.
You're like, why are there all these space battles in the middle of Twilight? Why are these robot droids going around shooting people with shields and stuff?
There's this droid vampire and genetically engineered werewolves and stuff walking around, and then Jar Jar gets bitten.
To be serious though, for a moment, I think. I think it was a good idea with Harry Potter. I think with some other movies, if they're not directed so much as at kids, let them be the length they need to be. If it's got to be, if a movie has to be 3.5, 4 hours, and I've seen some good 3.5, 4 hour movies. If they got to be, I've always said this. If you watch this a lot, you've heard me say this before. But if it's got to be 3.5, 4 hours, put an intermission in there. There are plays that long. There are ballets. Most ballets are that long. Most operas are that long. Let's give people credit and not assume that no one has the attention span for a long film. And if it has to be that long to be a better movie, allow that to happen. Harry Potter, kind of a gray area. I get that it's tough to get 12-year-olds to sit in seats that long, but beyond that, Lord of the Rings, they had no problem making those longer movies, except they actually did cut some scenes out and then added them later in DVDs precisely because they didn't want them to be 5-hour movies. But just let it be as long as it's got to be, I think.
Dances with Wolves.
I've never seen that to this day.
Oh, I loved it.
Really?
I forget how long it was, but I loved that movie. Kevin Costner, I tell you, that guy's a heck of an actor. Director, that's debatable. The actor part, he's a great actor.
We should do a sequel to our We Recommend Kevin Costner movies.
Guess which movie Vince is going to recommend? The Bodyguard.
Only if you watch this and got through this far.
I forgot what the question was. Oh, depends on the novel. That's really what I'm going to say.
All right, Vince, next question is from Juggernerd. And Juggernerd asks, do you let the art of a comic book ruin a story you have liked up until they changed the art or heard it was good? I know the art from Batman No Man's Land Volume 2 drove me to the point where I couldn't even read the story anymore. What are your opinions on this? How does art affect your reading of a comic?
Well, generally they don't switch art mid-story. So usually it depends. I can read a decent comic with art that I don't like as long as it's been there from the beginning. But if you switch artistic mojo, we're going to call it. If you completely switch artists and those artists have significantly different styles, that drives me nuts. They did that in the middle of an Ultimate X-Men arc. And it went from, Cyclops with short hair to this sort of more cartoony look where he has longer hair and it almost looks like dreadlocks. And now I'm being a little bit hyperbolic here, but it's, I don't know if that's the right word to use.
Yeah, we're gonna put you on a graph.
I forget. Hyperbole. Anyway, I'm being a little extreme.
I like that. We're gonna put you either on a graph or a chamber. I'm not saying this just to be contrary, but you said that this doesn't generally happen. I think you read so much indie and so many lesser known arcs that you don't see it happen as often as it really does. Yeah. Mainstream stuff, freaking all the time, dude. You got fill-in artists that might be in the middle of still an arc. And when you're talking about really long arcs that go like to like 24 or 36 issues, FF Fantastic Four, this is all one arc that Hickman's been doing for the last year and a half, and it's going to be a 2-year arc. Well, there have been a number of different artists on this thing, and also when you're talking about things like No Man's Land that go through multiple books, you don't read a lot of things that do that.
No, that drives me nuts. I can't stand it, but I understand it. Like, I've read No Man's Land. I have it all in trade, and as I go through and the art style changes, the writing style changes, it just seems like this cluster hoo-ha mess. And although I did enjoy No Man's Land and what they did with it, it didn't seem joined together. It seemed like a bunch of individual stories that they're trying to call a big event.
That's why I still prefer the novel, because it at least feels consistent. It's written by one person, and it's Greg Rucka, and he's as good as everybody who wrote on No Man's Land combined, So, not that there weren't a lot of great writers on that. I just really, really like Greg Rucka. But anyway, I was trying to give you crap saying that. I just mean that I think it does happen quite a bit. And I'm with him. That was jarring for me with No Man's Land also. It was less jarring with Nightfall or Death of Superman or even any of the recent things like Civil War, which I'm not a big fan of, but Civil War, Blackest Night, Brightest Day, things like that. Although Brightest Day, I think actually had a consistent kind of style all the way through, because I think it was drawn by like 3 different people. All the way through, and so it was hard to tell where one artist started and the other one ended, and I think that can sometimes work really well when you have multiple artists working on one book, and so you can never tell who's working when. I think that's really smart.
I would say that I think the word that he used is the most important word: consistency. Whether or not these artists and our writers have gotten together and said, "Hey, this is what we're going to do," and if they all adhere to that, then you don't have a problem. I read 52, and it didn't start getting bad until, I don't know, issue 35, 39. Because everybody knew what they wanted up until they decided to extend it past 52.
So to actually completely answer the question, I'm going to say if the story is still good enough, it can get me through. But boy, it's going to take me longer. I may stop for a while.
It's like watching a play and an actor stammers through a few of his lines. It takes you about 20 minutes to get back into it.
Really good point. Well, maybe the play's still good, but the performance isn't working. Yeah, it's performance. That's really interesting. All right. Anyway. Pixel Bomb 97. Some of the fun of this is just finding people's usernames. Pixel Bomb 97 asks, Cap, I am 14, and but you can answer this too. That's cool. And I love superheroes, and I want to get into comics. I've been watching all the old series via Netflix, but where should I begin on the comic front? So young folks. There's all this stuff out there. Well, I think we've done this before, but I like to periodically answer this question, even if we've done it before, just because, it's... What? What are you laughing about?
I don't know. The first thing in my head was to say, the Max line and Vertigo line. Go at it!
Watchmen!
Start there. Don't start there.
The boy, not the boys.
Not the boys.
Not the boys.
Preacher? No, not Preacher.
Not Preacher.
You should probably steer clear away from Vertigo and and Max officially for the next few years.
Image, except for anything that happens to be a family-friendly title.
Yeah. Battle Pope is probably not in your repertoire of reading to be done soon.
Yeah, probably not.
Anyway, where should you start?
I was trying to think of a name of something else, and it just wasn't coming to me.
I started with Fantastic Four. Because I started with Waringo's
I know what I was going to say. Supreme Power! No.
Supreme Power.
Anyway, but no, to seriously, actually, we can do this all day. This is hilarious. To actually seriously answer this question, which blade? No. To very seriously answer this question, I always have two kind of ways about this. I could go down a laundry list of things that I think are really good things to start with, or I can say, do what I did. And what I did was, I went to a comic book store and I looked for covers that grabbed me. And I think it's, and I know you always say that you're not a big cover guy, like you don't like buy things based on covers. But just hear me out for a second, because I think this is really interesting. I think it's a different experience when new readers get to explore and find things for themselves without having people tell them this is the required reading. I think that sometimes, and I'm not saying this is a cop-out, we can give you ideas. I just mean that sometimes you find people who know comics really well, and you find out what the required reading is supposed to be, and so everybody tells you all the same, like 15 titles. And then you read those, and then you don't necessarily like go out on your own and go find stuff. I mean, like, there's so much in comics that part of the fun is the exploration, is the discovery of what you can find on your own. And I never had any help whatsoever until well later. And I'm a giant comic fan, so I'm just saying take that with a grain of salt. But I think there's something to that. Go explore a little bit.
He does have a good point. I mean, if you're asking where you should start, if you just want to start reading comics, or if you want to start reading current comics. Because if you're sitting there,
you need help with.
Yeah, if you're sitting there saying to yourself, well, I want to read comic books, but I don't know what I want to read. If you're not committed to reading a lot of different things, if you're not open to the idea that maybe you're going to read some bad stuff, I would just start looking at critically acclaimed things. I mean, that's where I would start.
Absolutely.
I would go to Long Halloween. I mean, I would go to those first Ultimates books. They were great. But if you're just looking to, immerse yourself into the culture, anything is a good place to start. Just keep in mind that you're not going to read good stuff wholesale.
And don't expect cartoons and movies to be what you're going to read in the comics. You really can't always expect that. But if there's a movie that you loved, I mean, the problem is that when somebody gives me this question, they just say, "I want to get into comics. I don't know what to read." I don't know what you like. I don't know if you like superheroes. I don't know if you don't like superheroes. I don't know if you're more of a team person, or if you like cosmic, if you like more down to earth, nitty gritty stuff. We've said the things we love a bazillion times, but I think you have to go like, if you said, "Hey, I loved the Fantastic Four films," then I know where to point you. If you said, I loved this X-Men movie, but not this one, I could really help you out. You know what I'm saying? If you didn't like X3, but you liked the idea behind X3, you should read Whedon, for instance. Stuff like that.
A good place to start, I'm going to give you 2 books. Go find like the first 7 or 8 or however many have come out right now of each of these series. Ultimate Spider-Man with, Miles Morales.
Start with, sure, even if you've not read the old stuff, you don't need to.
Yeah, this stuff's great.
Yeah, sure.
And Ghostbusters.
As current, great ideas. Yeah, if we're talking current, I'd also say depending on what you're into, the current run on Daredevil is really good, and it's only in issue 9, so you might be able to go back and find the rest of it. Current X-Men is quite good. I've kind of fallen off the bandwagon on it a little bit just because I have so much stuff on my pull right now and reading other things. But like current Uncanny X-Men and Wolverine and the X-Men especially is a hilarious book. Jason Aaron there. If you've never read Hulk before and you don't know if you like Hulk, start on Aaron's run because it's only 5 issues in, and it's awesome, and I'm not a Hulk guy, and I'm loving the crap out of that book. So there's a lot of great places to go. If you, this kid was saying that he was watching cartoons on Batman Beyond. Batman Unlimited just started, and you don't really need even the stuff leading up to that to read that book.
Although you should totally watch it.
Oh, you should totally, no, totally watch it. Great. No, I didn't mean you don't need the cartoon show. Actually, having the cartoon show is actually really helpful. I just meant that that Beechin did 2 runs before what he's doing right now, and you don't have to read those. Is what I'm saying. Especially like being a kid and trying to decide where your money's going to go. 48 pages, $3.99, 2 different stories in each issue. You can't beat that. Absolutely fantastic, and you get 4 powerhouse writers and artists doing different things on that thing. Especially frickin' Norm Brayfogle. Norm Brayfogle, by the way, I just gotta say this. He opens the book up with Batman Beyond in a full-page face palm. Fantastic, just hilarious. Anyway, the Skull 5000. If Batman was to actually die, how should he die? What villain should be used, and what would the main plot points be about? Well, I guess he's asking us to write a fan fiction, Vince.
Well, he should be the leader of a revolution. They should catch him because he decides to give up, and then somebody should shoot him in the head. Yep, that's how they should do it.
Should they?
And they should bring him back to life later, and call him like Bat Soldier or something.
Okay. Anyway, Bat Soldier. That's awesome. The Punisher should take him out. He should just cross universes and take him out.
It's easy enough.
Let me ask you this question: Do you think that if you were really actually going to kill off a superhero, because we can never assume that a real superhero is ever going to actually get killed off and never be brought back again, but if it was going to happen, it never would. Would you say that on the principle of the thing that it has to be his arch nemesis who kills him?
Not necessarily.
I don't think so either.
I think if Batman's going to go out, it should be the city that swallows him. I think he should be about 75 years old. I think he should be just broken and torn down like Like
So Bruce Wayne getting killed off in the Beyondiverse would be cool for you.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne has become a recluse, but Batman is still out there. He's decided that Batman is his identity, and since Bruce Wayne's an old man, he can hang around in his house and do nothing all the time. So and nobody questions it. They're not going to think that guy's out there fighting crime. But
no, of course not.
I think he should be waging a one-man war against crime in Gotham City, and just desperately trying to keep people from ruining the city and ruining their lives. And I think it should be like his last hurrah. So yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I don't think I can beat that. I would want it to be something unexpected. I wouldn't necessarily want it to be the Joker. It'd be kind of okay if the Joker was involved. I wouldn't want it to be one of those things where, like, the Joker and Batman both kind of die at the same time or something like that. Because I think it's too interesting to see how one lives without the other. So you'd still, I think you still kind of want that. But I don't know. For my money, I don't know why, but I kind of would love to see Two-Face kill him. I don't know why, but there's just something, and it'd be like that thing where he puts him on trial and he's convicted and he just can't get out of it. I don't know why, but I think with that scenario, it could still be kind of the city against him, because it's like, there can be a bunch of people, rallying around Two-Face who are all involved in this thing. Kind of like Trial in the animated series, except Batman loses. I don't know if I'd actually like that or not.
I'm so in my head right now about this, because I'm thinking last image before he dies is Batman is just broken and bleeding, and he has holes in him that just you can't repair on your own. And
unless you're Spawn.
Or Wolverine. And then he grapples himself into his car that comes speeding by just to get him out of the situation. Maybe he's managed to defeat them. He just needs to get home so he can fix himself. And he's has somebody working with him all night, but in the end he dies.
Yeah, this is that
just a man that dies in bed.
He didn't make it, and you still need that line. No, I'm fine, I'm dead. Not that he'd actually say that, but I just mean Batman's always saying, no, I'm fine. I'm battered beyond repair, but I'm fine.
Exactly.
Let's do a couple more. Here we go. Mr. Deadpool fan. What do you think of Chuck Norris, Vince?
I think the jokes about him are kind of funny.
Yeah?
I really liked that Sidekicks movie when I was a kid. I never liked Walker, Texas Ranger, and I've never seen another Chuck Norris movie.
Yeah, I've really only ever seen that movie you just mentioned, and that was when I was a kid, and I totally didn't even know what that was called, but I'm pretty sure it was that movie. The Epic 1701. I'm sorry. You know what? That was a response. I gotta read this real quick. This is another one from Mr. Deadpool fan. I didn't mean to put both of these together like this, but I want to do this real quick. Mr. Deadpool fan asks, is Deadpool an interesting character or just there for laughs? And then he says, let the debate begin. And then someone responded to him, and I wanted to read this response real quick, if you don't mind. The Epic 1701 says, Deadpool is the Marvel equivalent of Boba Fett. Let's all jump on the bandwagon and love this character because it's cool to do so without actually knowing anything. Effing sheep is what he says. I love Deadpool. Why? Because he's awesome. But why? He just is. Beats head against brick wall for more stimulating discussion. What do you think, Vince? Do you agree with that guy?
It's funny, there's a guy that I worked with that said, if I ask this question, will it get on the show? And so I wonder if that's the guy.
What, the Deadpool guy?
Yeah.
Huh. I don't know, unless he's a giant Deadpool fan and calls himself Mr. Deadpool fan.
I don't know, but it's funny that he said that. Anyway.
Alright. We'll answer this real quick before we finish.
I think that, I'll say this first, but don't lynch me. I think that the response has a good point. Just because people like it because it's popular to like it. Which is, whatever, that's okay. I'm not going to judge you for liking something just because you want to like it.
But admittingly, I don't really get the obsession some people seem to have with Deadpool.
I'll tell you, I haven't read a lot of Deadpool that I find interesting.
I'm not judging anyone, I just personally don't get it. I couldn't jump on that bandwagon myself. He doesn't excite me that much, but...
I can't jump on the Deadpool bandwagon because there's people that don't understand him. And those people that don't understand him are largely the people that are writing him. And that's the problem. And they think that it's like casting Ryan Reynolds in a movie. Oh, he's jokey and he's funny, and that's what's going to make this book good. Not necessarily. And that's what bothers me. So
the problem for me is that with characters like that, a lot of the time less is more, and Deadpool is everywhere. It's one of those things where, like, I can get the Wolverine is everywhere thing way before I can get the Deadpool is everywhere thing, because it's very easy for me. I don't like that he's in everything, Wolverine, but I can at least explain why he's popular. I can explain to you why I like him. You know what I mean? Like you can totally back up Wolverine is super popular. And Deadpool seems like is like a less is more kind of character. Like one of those guys that would pop into a story to to serve a purpose and do something really amusing and then leave. Not that I'm saying he shouldn't have his own book. I just but I mean he shouldn't be in as much stuff as he's in. I think I don't know.
Jimmy Palmiotti.
I feel like he's a bit of a one-trick pony, but admittingly, that's having not read too much of him because the stuff I have read, I just haven't cared for.
I've read some of the Jimmy Palmiotti late 90s, early 2000s, I forget when it was, but I've read some of that stuff, and it's really pretty good. I enjoy quite a lot of what I've read, which I haven't read, I'll admit I haven't read a lot, but...
and you're certainly not reading current.
Yeah. But when you go back to that stuff, he's set in a world that's just dark, and like girls that look like Britney Spears can be killers in that universe, and Deadpool can be hunting them down, and that's really interesting. So not only is this guy witty, not only is this guy a loudmouth, which is what seems to be the thing that drives most of the current books about Deadpool. And admittedly, I haven't read a lot of those, but the ones I've read, that's what he is.
Right.
And but when you put him in a universe where the world around him is demented, and he seems to be the one that finds those demented portions and deals with them, that's what makes Deadpool cool.
That's really cool. I mean, I like that you said, okay, this guy's got a point, and then here's the definition of how Deadpool can be, at least to you, how Deadpool can actually be cool. The point I think, at least for me, is if you've got a really good reason, okay, but he does seem to have a point that some people do seem to just kind of fall behind. This is in right now, and I don't really care for that. But
I think the problem is that a lot of people don't have good ideas. They're like, oh, well, that's a popular character, I'm going to make him. It's like, oh, we have Wolverine this week, what are we going to do with him? He's going to fight a snowman or whatever. And then you read it and you say, that was terrible. I mean, granted, it was Wolverine, so I like Wolverine, but can I let myself not like this?
Dude, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of all of your bad examples being good examples, dude. Wolverine versus a snowman? Sounds amazing, dude. Like, what, okay, there's this old cover that I have a poster of that's like it's Strange Tales or something. I forget what it is, and it's a snowman with heat vision. And I'm imagining Wolverine fighting that snowman. No, I'd totally read that. Actually, if you replace Deadpool at the end of X-Men Origins with that snowman, better movie. Just saying. Anyway, well, I guess we're done. That's
Wolverine versus Mecha Wolverine.
The end of our questions for this week. Next week we will continue going backwards. If you do have more questions you'd like to leave, feel free to. I don't know if we're going to get to them because we're going to keep going backwards at least next week. So, feel free to leave stuff, and we'll try to get to it eventually. And again, if you haven't seen your question, either you asked multiple ones, and I didn't mean to do multiple ones for different people. I think there's a couple I accidentally did that with, but for most people I was just picking one. But anyway, if you didn't see yours, we might be doing it in a topic later on. I think actually more of these this time seem to me to be really good GNN or podcast topics. So several of them I actually put on a separate list. Those are going to fuel later videos. Thanks a lot for watching. We always really appreciate it. And I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince, reminding you to support your local multi-topic extravaganza store. Comic store, rather, do that.